friends. I'm trying to set up my other tripod. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Let me see. Hey, everybody. Let's see if we are. Welcome in. Oh my God. If you're watching this on your phone, am I horizontal? Baby, hold on, y'all. Hold on. What is this? Okay. I gotta figure out which way I am. Okay, here we go. This is annoying because I want to be this way. Why am I sideways? Why is it sideways, friend? They updated this app and I'm telling you baby, I'm gonna get it together one day. One day. It's not gonna be the day. Okay, hold on. Let me fix y'all. Let me fix you. Let me fix you. Let me fix you. Don't mind my office. I just moved in here. Okay. Hey. Y'all know I'm technologically challenged. She said her iPhone can make me look upright. Yeah, I think you can change the how it is on your phone. But I think what's most important is when y'all play it back, how is it gonna be? You know what I mean? And that's the problem. That's the problem. So how are y'all today? It's been a while, friend. What's up? What is up? It has been a while since I've been on the Red app. And today's live is gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Look, it's gonna be good. But I have to preface our live with some things. I just want to do little updates because I haven't been here in such a while. I want to make sure that you all are updated on what's going on, what the goings on, and kind of what to expect from me moving forward here, or at least throughout the summer on YouTube, because my relationship with YouTube right now is a little sorted. Okay. We're not getting along right now. And if you've been here for a long time, then you know that historically YouTube has tried to play me. But I've been in a forum with other creators on this platform trying to figure out, okay, is it really me, or do I know what I know is happening, right? And it has been confirmed that this app don't want to pay us, right? And especially when our platforms are doing well and our content is viewed often, they have to pay you, you know, when there are eyes on your content. So what they do is they suppress your content. Now, on top of that, obviously never to make anything on this platform political, because you know I don't do too much of that. But I've always known that they suppressed women's health content and things about fibroids in particular. If I talk about BC, you know, I'm not going to say that word, they will suppress that. Historically, any videos where I mention, um, you know, things like the shot or pill or ring or whatever, they suppress it. They don't want that. Like, they don't want that. And it's difficult to reach your audience when the very platform that you rely on to reach your audience plays with the algorithm in order to show your content less or to forward whatever messages that they prefer to have going on. Um, Somebody said, why? Woo. Listen, friend, that's deep. That's deep why they do that. I'm not even going to get into that. But what I will say is, I believe when it comes to any media, there is a narrative that they like to have of us. And if there are any that deviate from that narrative, or if there is something that is too um, forward in momentum or educational or oh child, get it together, or you know, are you picking up what I'm putting down? If it's too enriching for our demographic, then it tends to not be pushed. Okay, now this is all media. So everything that we've seen our whole lives has been orchestrated. And so we feel like there is this sense of freedom over here. And at a time there was, but it's a big machine now. And the algorithm has been designed to favor certain things over others. And that's where we are. So it's been very difficult for me personally to put so much effort, time, editing, production, all of that into bringing YouTube videos only for them to suppress them, only for them to only show it to 10% of my following. You know what I mean? They've shadow banned me before. You'll have to look that up. We're not going to get into it. After talking about removing of the uterus, they didn't like that. They did not like when I did a video about the most common way that doctors treat fibroids. So I don't even say that word. I don't even say that word. I don't say the H word, which is ridiculous because it's a part of our experience here. So I'm saying all this to say, to continue to make videos, edit all of this stuff, to put them on here for them to be suppressed is really heartbreaking. And it's taken me a while to come to terms with this. And about a year ago, I decided to pivot, because what you won't do is hold back my message. What you won't do is stop me from educating my people and supporting them in the ways that I know that I can. So when you see me say, hey, follow me on Substack, I'm not trying to get you to come off of this platform and go to that platform for the fun of it. Okay. I am trying to get you to go where they do not censor me. And as of now, that platform favors, free speech and free expression. And it's more in alignment with where I am right now, as far as uh, the messages that I want to share with you all, the truths that I want to share, the education that I want to share. There's no algorithm, right? So I have 100% of control over what I put out and what you see. And that is how it should be, you know? So I'm not trying to come in here doing a rant. I just want to update you all that I will always be on this platform. But if you're not seeing me, most likely the truth is, it's probably because they're not pushing my videos to you. And if you want to see videos or see if I've done anything recent, you will have to either have your notifications turned on and or come back and simultaneously check the page. Like check the in fact, in fact, I actually recommend that you go to my YouTube page and look and see what there is, because a lot of you who are following me don't know how many videos I actually have. I have covered so many topics, but you don't see it on your feed because of the algorithm. Even some of my girlies who have followed me from the beginning, you know, they also have been deleting comments. That's a whole nother story. But if we put solutions or things that have been working for us, or just loving on each other and talking about our experiences in the comments, I've noticed that they will remove comments, especially ones that seem to be solution oriented. Um, and it's a little bit of a fight. It's a little political. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, because that's not why I came here. That's not what, you know what I mean? Like, that's, come on. What are we doing? So this is the state. Yeah, the deleting of the comments is crazy. And this has been going on for years, years. And the craziest thing about it is that they don't know my relationship with some of you all. You know, some of y'all are clients, one-on-one clients. Some of you all are over on Substack. Some of you all are on my IG at Hot Girl Health Journey, by the way. Some of y'all are on my TikTok, and they'll say, "Hey, did you see this comment? I put a comment and I went back to respond, or I went back to add something and it was gone." Or I'll see comments coming up mobile, but I actually like to sit on my laptop and respond to y'all. And the comments that I see mobile, I go back to respond and they're gone. And I will search, like I search the entire thing and it's gone. I've screenshotted some things. And hey, Miss AJ, she said she on everything, as you have to be. You know, these algorithms are a fool. And so when it comes to us healing, let's not be um naive about how much they do not want us to be in control of our own bodily autonomy, our own health journeys, our own healing. Okay, it's really sick. All right, so we're off that. All right, we're off that, because if I keep going on and on to that point, you may not even see this live. You know, you may not even be able to come back to it, baby. So I'm going to quickly pop on our sisters from other platforms. I'm just going to go live on a few, just so that don't nobody miss nothing. Okay. I am going to be talking about hormones and fibroids. And this is really important. And one of the reasons why I decided to go live on this topic instead of doing a video and risk y'all not seeing it is because it's so super important. Like, out of all the things that I've ever covered, this one, this the one. Okay. So I'm going to see if we can go live on TikTok too. I feel like poor TikTok. I'm not a fan of social media as it is. And um poor TikTok. They be getting neglected, baby. They be getting neglected. You know what? Hold on one second, friends. Let me turn my AC up too, because it's hot. Baby, it's hot. Hey y'all. One second, friends. Let me turn this AC so that I'm not burning up. I'm coming, y'all. Hold on. Okay, y'all. Sorry. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I forgot I had tea going on in there. Hello. So, we're going to be talking about hormones and fibroids. But of course, before I get into that, I'm going to just drop in the chat real quick my links. Please follow me on other platforms. I beg of you. I beg of you. If you want the most out of support from me, I encourage you to make sure that you're connected with me at least on one other platform. I just popped my links here. That is the link to like everything I got. And I'm going to pin it just in case. I have been getting emails also from some of you all talking about you cannot book an appointment. My calendar's closed, panicking. Friends, my one-on-one appointments, the calendar opens the first week of each month. Hold on. To turn this on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. My calendar opens the first week of each month. So if you don't see anything there, that's when. Okay. So don't panic if you want an appointment. And I appreciate you emailing me just to check to make sure things are on the up and up. But you good. that is also the link for where you would book a one-on-one. If you want the Fibroid Nutrition Reset Guide, that's the link. It is still 15% off with code SPRING15. And my Instagram is on there, TikTok, and of course my Substack account is on there as well. All right. So let me open up my notes for which other social platform am I most active? I'm most active on Substack. Substack has the most information. Substack has articles, lives, um, uh, recipes, workouts, voice notes. Everything is on Substack. If it's not a video form, like a YouTube video, it's over there. I also have exclusive videos that are over there as well. And again, just for the girlies that are wondering, that are coming in and wondering why I'm over there, is because I'm free. I'm not being censored. That is why I'm over there. So I had to make that pivot. I know that some of the girlies complain they don't want to have to go on other platforms and whatever else. And if that's not your bag, stay on YouTube. But just know, if you're not seeing the videos, now you know why. Okay. So, hormones and fibroids, friends. First and foremost, I would like to say that if you are not aware, which I'm sure most of us at this point are aware, that fibroids are absolutely hormone sensitive, and it is a reproductive disorder that is, what's the right word? It is very much, very, very, very much influenced by your hormones. Okay. Something that you need to know is that your hormones run everything. Every tissue and organ in your body is affected by your hormones. And when we are speaking about reproductive disorders, we have to acknowledge that part of our reproductive system houses or is part of our endocrine system, right? And our endocrine system, you can think about your endocrine system as like the post office for the hormones, right? And the hormones are the mailmen. Ooh, it was good. I'm eating already. So, hormones are chemical messengers in your body, and they are responsible for like everything. Um, their job is to do everything from control our temperature to controlling our stress response, controlling our electrolytes, water balance, um, uh, uh, reproductive health, God, everything, even some things in our cardiovascular system. Um, is all determined by hormones. And I'm saying this because a lot of people really underestimate the role of hormones in fibroids and hormone imbalance. Obviously, when you hear hormone imbalance, you know that that has to do with hormones, but do know that hormone imbalance is a proponent of fibroids and a lot of the reproductive disorders that we see. And another thing that is important for you to know is that your ovaries are glands that are a part of your endocrine system. Okay. So those ovaries, just like your thyroid or your hypothalamus or your adrenals, are a part of your endocrine system. This system works together. If one of these things are off, everything gets affected, right? So when I talk to you all about things like nutrient deficiencies and how it is so incredibly important that you focus on your nutrient deficiencies in order to improve not only your overall health, but to improve your chances of healing, because the endocrine system relies on our nutrient status, so to speak, as well. So if we are deficient, then our endocrine system almost has to pivot and figure out where we can take from in order to keep you alive. And there's so much that I plan to cover today, but I do want to say a few things that I think is a little underrated when it comes to um, hormones and healing. First and foremost, if you have been diagnosed with fibroids, or even if you haven't been diagnosed with fibroids and you found yourself here and you have heavy periods, you have painful periods, you have prolonged periods, you have acne, you have sudden weight gain, you have hair falling out, you have no energy, you have brain fog, you pee a lot, you um, don't have a libido, you your hair, skin, and nails just are not thriving. All of these things are hormone related, friends. Okay. So you should immediately, immediately check your hormones. And most doctors are going to give you pushback. Most doctors are going to tell you your hormones don't have nothing to do with it, especially as it relates to fibroids. I've heard this a thousand times. Doctors love to say, we're not going to test this, we're not going to test that, that's irrelevant. Your age, you're this, you're that, blah, 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 blah. Give you 30,000 reasons why they're not going to test what they know to be involved, right? And a lot of this is because if we acknowledge and know that there are clues, very important clues in our hormone health, then the obvious and natural tendency is to follow the hormones, correct? But if we do that, then they can't make money. Okay? They can't make money off of you recalibrating your hormones and understanding your hormone health. They trying to get you on that bed, baby, immediately, because they can make more money from that. The only other ways that they can really make money is prescribing you things. And for sure, you'll probably get those doctors that want to prescribe you some form of HRT. I'm not opposed to HRT, especially if you in them upper numbers. However, the problem is they do not investigate hormones thoroughly, and it's not even commonplace for them to establish a hormonal baseline for your health before they prescribe you anything. Have you ever had a doctor check your hormones before they prescribed you birth control? I'm a wait. Look, I'm a wait. It's giving crickets, right? They don't care where your hormones are. They don't care where your hormones are. It's all about them securing that bag. And this is not funny, but it's funny because they say that hormones don't have anything to do with it, but yet they want to prescribe you hormonal birth control to manage a condition. They say hormones don't have nothing to do with it, but yet they quick to check with the HRT as soon as you hit 40. Or you know, when you are having heavy bleeding, they're going to prescribe you some type of hormone, right? But when you ask, let me see what my hormones look like, all of a sudden it don't have nothing to do with hormones. And we go along with that because we trust them, right? And it's such BS. So what we're going to do today, we're going to break this down, okay? Because it's very important for you all to understand the role of your hormone health is paramount. It's paramount when it comes to your healing. And I have notes as usual. Y'all know I got my notes. So let me pull them up. I got a comment. Hold on one second. She says, thank goodness they have record keepers in the room. For real. By the time I got to asking the questions for the 3 times and it was recorded, I got the referral for the labs. They're really pushing back. Yes, absolutely. And if they say that they do not want to test you for something, you can ask them to put in the records that they are refusing to test you for said thing. Please, please know and understand your rights when it comes to this. You may not be able to shift their perspective because a lot of doctors are just where they are with things and they do things how they do them, and you're not going to change their opinion. But what you can do is document things and make sure that when you are asking for different forms of care, that it's documented that you are not going to do your due diligence. You do not want to thoroughly investigate something that I have concerns about. I'm gonna need you to write that down. You know what I mean? She said, my doc said checking hormones is useless. How to get, hold on. I'm going to read the rest of your comment. I didn't have, it flashes it for 1 second on my screen. Yeah, my doc said checking hormones is useless. How to get our hormones checked in. We're going over that today. We're going over all of that. Don't worry, friend. And yes, your doctor is going to do that because they need to bypass any thought in your mind that is not surgery or, you know, the H word, because that's generally their end goal. If they're really not um invested in your healing, they're not invested in your healing, right? So they're going to tell you all the things, and it's important that you know that that's all BS. I just pulled up my notes and I want to go over them because I don't want to miss nothing. Okay, hold on. Because there's something else that I want to expand on before we start getting down into before I start taking down through there. Okay. So, all right. Another reason why we need to be concerned about our hormone health is not just because of our fibroids. And I've said this so many times. I feel like this, how many times have I said it? Right? That as much as we want to focus on the fibroids, and I know how this sounds, you have to stop focusing on the fibroids, friend. You gotta stop focusing on the fibroids. Why am I saying that? Because your fibroids are merely a symptom. Your fibroids are a byproduct of what your hormone health and internal picture look like, right? And that's very important for you to acknowledge, because when we're talking about hormone health and hormone imbalance and fibroids and all of these reproductive disorders, there's a root. Fibroids are not the root of anything, they are a byproduct of, okay? And I've told you guys so many times here that when it comes to our hormone health, if we don't learn how it works and learn how we got here, and by no means am I saying you need to become an expert in your condition, which wouldn't be bad, but you're going to want to try to understand how you arrived here. You need all the evidence that you can get from your body about how you got here, because your fibroids or whatever condition that you might be suffering with as it relates to your reproductive health didn't just pop up. This is occurring because of an imbalance, because of a deficiency, because of um, on a deeper spiritual level, because of the things that you have been holding in have started to affect your endocrine system. And now there's a physical manifestation of those things in your womb. And I'm going on and on about this point because there are studies that say that when we suffer from conditions like fibroids, PCOS, other things like that, we are more likely to suffer with other conditions like cardiovascular disease, etc., which I'm about to talk about as soon as I put this TikTok up here. Hopefully it don't fall. All right, so here we go. Um, there was a study of over 2 million women that found that women with fibroids had an 81% higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease. 81%. Because there is a root. Fibroids are not the root. Let's go on. Endometriosis. There was a 2025 study with women with endometriosis that found that they had a 23% higher risk of cardiovascular disease and a 13% higher risk of hypertension compared to women without. These things, your health, that's why I always say your hormone health is your health, friends. Your hormone health is your health. It's not two separate things. And that's why a lot of people, when they come at me about how I choose to address this, how I chose to heal, my methodologies, the things that I do or do not believe in when it comes to diet or what have you, and why I'm thorough about this, because I know it's not about the fibroids. It has more to do with your endocrine system. It has more to do with your hormone health than they're letting on, friends. And just like I said in the beginning of this, your endocrine system and the organs or glands technically involved in that system control everything, including cardiovascular things, right? Blood pressure, blood sugar, all of these things. It's very, very important. Um, they also found, I got 100 screens up on me. They found that women with reproductive disorders, just like I mentioned, endometriosis, fibroids, and PCOS, are more likely to develop hypertension or cardiometabolic dysfunctions. This is real. And this is the reason why PCOS's name has just changed, because they realize it's a metabolic dysfunction. They realize that, oh, this also has to do with insulin and insulin resistance, which you know, you know how I feel about blood sugar and fibroids. It is one of the most underrated. I think that doctors do not check your blood sugar, because your blood sugar is controlled a lot in part by your hormones. Okay? So stroke risk. I'm not going to keep going on, but I just want to really press this point because I need y'all to see how important this is and why I'm saying stop focusing on the fibroids. Stop focusing on the fibroids. The fibroids are, yes, they are the physical manifestation of your imbalances, dysfunctions, whatever is going on in there. And I do absolutely understand the, thank you. Yes, thank you, friend. Hello. I do want you to understand that this is not about the growths. This is about the root. And this is the part that they're never going to stress to us, because they cannot capitalize off of healing us. And this is not unlike any other condition. They really cannot capitalize off of healing anybody, which is the reason why they prescribe things, which is the reason why they do surgery, and their form of treatment is always got to be invasive. Or if you're on this thyroid medication, you got to be on this for life, even though there are things that you can do to regulate these systems without having to be on drugs. I probably shouldn't have said the D word. I probably shouldn't have said the D word. Lord, I gotta watch my mouth. Um, so it's a really, really important point that I need to make within my communities, to stress that while I do totally understand that the fibroids are extremely life interrupting, that your endometriosis is taking you out. I feel you, friend. But on a deeper level, we have to talk about our hormone health. So now that I got that point up off me, I would like to say another point about hormone health before we go into some specifics of the hormones and fibroids is that if you have not already had hormone testing, and this is where a lot of you all will probably want to chime in right quick. If you have not had hormone testing as it stands, please look into getting hormone testing immediately, because the older you get, the more complicated your hormonal picture will look. As soon as you can, you want to do hormones so that you can establish a baseline for what your hormones may look like. Now, mind you, hormone labs, as it relates to serum labs, meaning blood, are merely a snapshot of a point in time and where your hormones were standing at that time. Now, are there other options that we have? Sure, of course there are. You can do other testing like saliva or dried urine, et cetera, et cetera. But the most accessible way is going to be labs. If your doctor is giving you pushback for labs, in that link that I linked where I said, this is the link to everything I got, check that link out. There is some resources for doing labs. Now, by no means is that your only option, but it is an independent way for you to buy your own labs without a order from a doctor. Okay. Y'all, many of y'all know that I work with LabCorp on demand. Oh my God, thank you, friends. Y'all are too much. Thank you. Um, I work with LabCorp on demand. I was using LabCorp on demand before they reached out to me, and I guess just like others, they saw that this is kind of what I do. So they did offer my girls a discount. Okay. You can get, I want to say 20% off. Cool by Klein. Ma'am, thank you. You can get, I want to say 20% off labs. Check the link. Check the link. Now, there are other companies that you can get labs from. I don't know where you're located, but you got the same internet I got. Go on there. Now that you know these things exist, see what's within your range. I like LabCorp on Demand because they got a lot of uh, locations around. You can walk in, you don't need an appointment, you don't need no doctor. You go online, you say, I want to test this, this, that, and that. You order it, you go with the email, test the labs, boom, you get an email with the results. Will you need somebody to help you interpret that? Yes, you will. And that is a great segue into this next thing that I want to say to you. If you have had hormone testing and they said to you, your estrogen is fine, your hormones are fine, but you have symptoms that are telling you that you're not fine. What I have to say is we cannot just accept that. We can't just accept that. We can't stop there, friend, because there are very vital there's vital context that needs to be had when it comes to hormone testing. First and foremost, I need to make it very, very clear. Let me answer this question real quick. What test should I start with? Can I pay out of pocket for it? Yes, you can pay out of pocket for it, friend. And we're going to talk about some of the tests today. Um, what was I saying? So, we cannot just accept your hormones look fine, right? Because there's major context. And if you've ever worked with me, your eyes were probably this big when you realized looking at lab ranges as it stands. I'm looking for one of my recent labs, but I realize they're all email. But anyway, when you're looking at lab ranges, normal, traditional lab ranges are there to detect disease. So, okay, you don't have a disease, but you're not healthy either. There's really no number for that as it stands for traditional lab ranges, right? And I know this sounds crazy and probably confusing, and it's like, Glam. So I get my labs run, and my doctor says they're fine. I'm looking at the paper, and it says in range. I'm looking at the range, and just for example, maybe for estradiol, which is one of the tests that you will absolutely want to get. Um, just for example, you may be looking and it says that estradiol should be from 100 to 200. Just an example. And your estrogen, when you test it, is a 150. It's going to be in range. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be in range. But the problem with this is that this doesn't tell you the full picture. We cannot just stop at that. We also need to look at progesterone. And I've been talking a lot about progesterone over on Substack as of late, because especially if you are over 30, 35, progesterone is a conversation that is going to be very relevant for you real soon if it's not already. And if you're in this room, it probably is very relevant to what you're going through. So you need to test estradiol. You need to test progesterone. These two things are very important when it comes to establishing whether or not you are estrogen dominant or not. When you get labs done and they say your estrogen is not high, it's within range. This does not mean you are not estrogen dominant. It doesn't mean that you are not estrogen dominant. In fact, it merely means your estrogen is within this lab range right now. That don't mean nothing. Regular traditional lab ranges mean nothing as it relates to healing and understanding where you need to be in order to start to get better. You need to be looking at optimal ranges, functional ranges. Doctors do not go by optimal ranges. What is an optimal range? An optimal range is that place where your numbers sit, where you feel better and best. And it's no coincidence that there are no ranges for that for traditional medicine, which is why I have advocated so hard for seeking out functional health doctors, integrative health doctors, naturopathic doctors, because they follow different ranges. They are invested in your healing. So, therefore, they need to follow a different set of ranges that not only says, okay, this person doesn't have a disease, but they are in an optimal, healthy range, right? So, that's the first thing. The second thing, as it relates to estradiol and progesterone, is, and I just saw a comment come by, but I just want to mention to you because this is also very important. We have more than one estrogen. Which one are they testing? Okay. We have more than one estrogen, friends. Okay. Estradiol is the one that is relevant to fibroids. I'm so glad you like it. I hope that you come away from this live mind blown and shook. That's my hope. So I'm so, so happy that you're loving it so far. Follow me now. Follow me now. So don't just let them test any old thing. There's plenty of estrogens, but a lot of doctors are not trained in hormone health. They don't have the wherewithal to, even OBs, okay, to understand context as it relates to fibroids and other reproductive disorders. So again, estradiol or E2 is the estrogen that is relevant here. That's the first thing. So anytime you say, oh, your estrogen's fine, which estrogen? Which one? And I'm about to blow your mind again. So I'm about to just keep blowing the mind. Follow me. So estradiol compared to progesterone, that ratio, only that ratio is going to tell you whether you are estrogen dominant as it relates to fibroids, heavy periods, painful periods, prolonged periods, spotting, uh, acne, other things like this, okay? They're not calculating that ratio, I can assure you. They're not calculating that ratio, I can assure you. So even if you look on your test and you say, oh, okay, so my estradiol is within range. Even if your estradiol is in an optimal range, if it is not compared to your progesterone, you don't know whether you are estrogen dominant, friend. You don't know, okay? Because estrogen dominance is several things, but as it relates to progesterone, your estrogen and progesterone need to be within a specific ratio in order to determine whether you are estrogen dominant. I'm not supposed to tell you this, but the ratio was 100-1, meaning progesterone to estradiol. I didn't say that. Who said that? Who said that? Now, they're not calculating that, I can assure you. So when you get this, and I've had hundreds of calls. I've had hundreds of calls at this point, and the girlies say, my estrogen is fine, my hormones are fine. Let me see. What are the numbers? What are the numbers, friend? Let me see. Let's really work this out so that we can understand that the picture that your doctor is painting for you versus the actual reality of what is going on, two different pictures. Okay? Let me answer a couple questions and then I'm gonna keep blowing your mind because there's so much more. Sorry. There's so much more to this than even that. And thank you so much. She said my hair is cute. Thank you. I ain't did no edges, child, baby. Y'all gonna have to take me how I am. Look, I still got the clip in it. Lord Jesus. Okay, so comment. My estrogen was 587. Oh my God. That's high. Now that is high. My estrogen was 587, but which estrogen though, friend? Either way, that's high. My anterior wall fibroid was at 11 centimeters. I've been implementing most of your suggestions in my diet and lifestyle, and I can feel my estrogen has gone down. Another ultrasound soon, period. Okay, good. That's high, friend. That's high. I would love to have a call with you. Um, I'm so happy that you are seeing improvement because with the estradiol that high, your symptoms were probably taking you out. Um, is this a separate test that should be asked? Should the inquiry be made with the PCP or OBGYN or both? Okay. Any doctor that can run labs can run this. They be trying to make it seem like it's rocket science. Don't let them play with you. It's not complicated. Any doctor that can run labs can run this. Your OB, your primary, shoot, your endocrinologist, anybody, your hematologist, all of them. If they got a doctor on their name, they can run. They can run it. Are they two separate tests? Yes, they are. So estradiol or E2 is the one that you're going to want to check. Progesterone is also the one that you're going to want to check. Those are two separate things. You can do a hormone panel, a female hormone panel, but depending on which lab your doctors use, that can include different things. Make sure though it has estradiol and progesterone on there. We're going to keep talking about some other things as well. So hold on. We keep tracking with me. So if you already answered this, is this a blood test? Yes, this is a serum blood test. Yes, correct. Can you please highlight the hormone places we can go to? Check the link, my friend. It is pinned. If you hit Glampreezy at the bottom, I have a comment. Boom. When you go in there, scroll down and it says something about labs. That's the one that I use anyway. Okay. And again, like I said, they give y'all 20% with the code that's there. There are only, so the estrogen that you want to be concerned with is estradiol. And on labs, it would say estradiol, and next to it, it'll probably say E2. Okay. So moving on to keep blowing y'all mind, because y'all know I talk a lot and I don't want to keep going on and get sidetracked because there's so much that y'all need to know. There's so much that you need to know. What is she name? Sorry, y'all got sidetracked. Okay. So those two tests are very, very important in terms of establishing estrogen dominance. Okay. And then, sorry, I missed a question on Substack. She says, have you heard of HTMA testing? Yes. That is like minerals. And usually a functional doctor or some type of integrative doctor would be the person to do that. Oh, child. My estradiol was 39 and my progesterone 4. That's low. Those are both real low. But let me hold on. I need to give you more context because this is where it gets tricky and where they play with y'all and where they start playing in our face. Okay. You cannot test your hormones at any old random time of the month. Mm-mm. You cannot just run up in there at any time of the month and test these hormones. And really, other hormones that are also important in this picture are testosterone. Testosterone is really important here too. And as you get into the upper 30s, 40s, and beyond, testosterone starts to go away. And that's something that you need to be tested for as well. However, standard hormone testing is generally done on day 3 of your cycle. For anybody that may not be familiar with that, day 3 is the 3rd day of your period. The first day of your period is the first day of your cycle. You are so welcome, Miss Alexis. Day 1 is the first day of your cycle. Day 3 is the 3rd day of your cycle. So you would generally be testing hormones while you're on your period, the 3rd day. The problem with this is that's not bad. And it's good for context when it has to do with your hormone health overall. 3rd day testing is not bad, but it's not optimal for a fibroid picture. Let me expand a little bit on 3rd day testing. 1st day period spotting or light spotting included. Yes. Okay. So are you, I want to answer that, but let me hold on. Hold on. Okay. So 3rd day testing is really about seeing fertility health, ovarian health, ovulatory health to a degree. This is the time when you're going to want to test. Yes, you are going to want to test estradiol here. You may even want to test some of your other estrogens here. You will also want to test things like FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, or LH, which is luteinizing hormone. You may even want to test sex hormone binding globulin, which is SHBG. Those are markers of fertility. Those are markers of ovulatory health and kind of signifiers for how the machine is working. I'm going to use myself as an example here, okay? As you get older, these markers will tend to be a little wonky because we know that your ovaries are trying hard to give you that last chance. It's like that last push to drop them eggs and get them fertilized. So things like luteinizing hormone are important here. Follicle stimulating hormone are important here because these all assist with getting you pregnant, making sure that you're fertile, okay? And it has a lot to do with ovulatory health and or ovulation. That is important in the grand scheme of your hormonal picture. However, late phase testing is more contextual when it has to do with fibroids and fibroid symptoms that you may be experiencing. And I never, ever, ever want to give off this idea that early testing is not important. It's all important. But if you have to start somewhere as far as finding clues to why you're experiencing the things that you're experiencing, especially my girls with those heavy ass prolonged periods, listen, this right here is for you. I'm starting to yell. I'm sorry. I'm going to bring it down. This right here is for you, my friend. Luteal phase testing. Mid-luteal to be exact, or 7 days prior to your period. 7 days, about 7 days before your period is when you want to do late phase testing. Please understand that the windows are tight. And if you all are not tracking your cycle, that's the first thing. Let's start today. Let's start today, because we need to understand where we are, not for the doctors, for our own understanding of how our body and our cycle works. Every week, we are in a different place hormonally. Every single week. Every single week, we are in a different place hormonally. As it stands, mid-luteal phase testing is where you're going to gather information about your progesterone, estrogen dominance. You're going to test that estradiol then, because we're going to want to compare those ratios here. But this is what's important. Let me blow the top off your mind one more again. Estrogen is a hormone that is made by different systems in the body. The majority of our estrogen, yes, is made by the ovaries, which is a gland in our endocrine system, right? But other things make estrogen. Even fat cells can make estrogen. That's why your weight is a factor for developing fibroids as well. I'm not going to go there, but just good for you to know. Unlike estrogens, though, progesterone is really made by one thing, the corpus luteum. This is something that is only present after ovulation. So understanding that the importance of ovulating is not about you getting pregnant. The importance of ovulating is about the entire health of your hormonal system and reproductive health. Without ovulation, there is no meaningful production of progesterone, friends. So that's why understanding third day testing is important, to understand how things are running in the factory. Going back to me, myself, because I'm up there in them years, my ovulatory health is not great right now. Y'all know I'm always going to keep it 1,000 because I'm 40. I tested that damn third day testing, and I was like, the ovaries are trying to give me my last push. Okay. So when you get up there, this is a normal thing to start happening. If your ovulation is weak, or if you're having anovulatory cycles, which my girls with PCOS have often, you are not getting the progesterone that you need to oppose estrogen. She said, you're not old. This uterus said she's mature. Um, that is critical, as I've explained. But I'm gonna keep running it down. We're gonna keep running it down. We're gonna keep running it down because I need to blow your mind all the way. So if we don't track our cycles, we're not sure if we have ovulated. I love y'all. I can't, I get chills because I cannot wait to hear all the things, and I cannot wait to be a deeper part of your journey, because trust and believe me, as you can see as it stands, I got a lot of information that I could give you. Okay. And thank you for saying that I'm definitely not old. um, my ovaries are maturing. There you go. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I cried, y'all. Oof, oof. But anyway, so ovulation health is critical here. We need to start tracking the cycle. We need to understand what ovulation looks and feels like in our body, and particularly the signs of ovulation, like cervical mucus, um, basal body temperature, uh, LH, which is luteinizing hormone, which surges around ovulation to drop that egg so that progesterone can be made. We need to understand here, if we get this lab done, right, in the mid luteal phase, 7 days prior to our period, and our estrogen looks fine or robust, which is pretty typical from what I have seen. True estrogen dominance, like primary estrogen dominance, meaning your estrogen is truly off the charts, like someone said here, is a little bit more rare. It's not uncommon in a lot of the different hey, what's this? Sorry. TikTok is going on a tangent right now. But when we are in a concentrated space, I'll say, and there's a group of us, let's just say there's a group of us, there's a handful of us that are going through estrogen dominance. Most of us will be experiencing estrogen dominance because we do not have enough progesterone. Whereas some of us are having true or primary, I need to stop saying true, primary estrogen dominance, meaning the estrogen is really off the charts. Okay. This is so intricate and so super, like, deep. That's why we need doctors that are invested in our health, because I'm sure none of y'all doctors are telling you any of this. Okay, so I got off track. But going back around to ovulation health, etc. If you get that test done and you find, just like I have, your estrogen's fine, but that progesterone is plummeted. That progesterone's plummeted. You are probably experiencing prolonged periods. you are probably experiencing heavy periods. You're probably experiencing painful breasts, sore nipples, that kind of stuff. And if we look at estrogen as girl, I'm trying to tell you, they don't tell you none of this. But if we look at estrogen as the gas, vroom vroom, we can look at progesterone as the brake. So we driving around with all the gas and no brakes. So there isn't signaling to stop. There isn't, progesterone is also responsible for solidifying the uterine lining. So whereas estrogen is going to build the uterine lining, which is what sheds, that becomes your period, progesterone's job is to kind of manage the building. It also can act as the glue between the bricks of the uterine lining, if you will. This is all just to give you a picture. So when we don't have enough progesterone, the period going pedal to the metal, and it just gonna keep going, because where's the progesterone? It's not in the building. When this happens, it is very crucial that we start to have a deeper relationship with our ovulation health, because as I said, ovulation is where this progesterone is going to come from, ladies. So when that is the case and we see, hey, progesterone suffering, especially for many of us that are, like I said, in those upper numbers, and we are going towards or are in perimenopause, progesterone does become a problem, because as I said, progesterone is not just coming from all these different places like estrogen can. Progesterone really only comes from ovulation. And so when that happens, now we're tasked with understanding what our ovulation looks like. Are we ovulating to even begin with? Because just because you have a period doesn't mean you are ovulating. It get deep, friends. It gets deep. Just because you bled does not mean that you ovulated. Mm-mm. That don't mean that. No. So it becomes a matter of supporting ovulation and supporting progesterone production so that we can put this cycle back in balance. So we can give estrogen a run for her money. So we can say, hey, hey, you're not going to be running around in here. You're going to sit down. So it's so very important that we are having a lifestyle and diet that supports these systems. So the people jumped on me hard about talking about fasting, and we're not going to do it again today because y'all not going to bully me about fasting again. But I need to help you understand how critical it is that if you are practicing fasting, the message that you are telling your body is that it is not safe, and that you and your environment are not prepared for a baby. So that means your body is going to read the circumstances. Hey, there's not enough food. Hey, we should not be ovulating because she hungry. Ain't no way she can sustain life if she's starving. So your body deprioritizes ovulation. Ovulation is not required to live. Ovulation is a choice for the body when the body has the right environment. And that's why your blood sugar is important here. And eating often enough is important here. And being nourished is important. And reducing inflammation is important. Furthermore, and then I'm going to answer some questions. Furthermore, your girl has been telling y'all healthy fat is the key. You have to eat enough fat because progesterone is made from cholesterol. Cholesterol is fat. So for all of you girls out there fasting and eating low-fat diets and not fueling and nourishing your system enough, you are making your ovulation suffer. You could be contributing to your heavy periods, to your prolonged periods, to your fibroid growth ultimately. This is very, very, very strategic and interconnected. So it's like when I say we need to be eating every 3 hours and everybody's like, oh my God. Abundance in your environment signifies we are safe. We can sustain life. And so the body can prioritize reproductive health and repair. But if it doesn't have anything to draw from, where's it going to come from? You see what I mean? Furthermore, last point before I answer some questions, ovulation is an energy dependent event. I'm gonna just run it back. Ovulation is an energy dependent event. If your body is malnutritioned, you've been fasting, and you don't have the energy, fat, fiber, protein to draw from, it's not going to happen. And if it happens, it may be weak, meaning it doesn't produce meaningful progesterone. I hope I drove that message home because, ladies, we're in a hormone crisis and we're out here starving. Let's start over here. Is there a particular day of your cycle that is the best to take the hormone test? Yes, absolutely. Third day of your cycle is important for ovulatory health, reproductive health, etc. But mid-luteal phase testing is the only reliable time for you to test your progesterone because you have to wait to ovulate to test your progesterone because progesterone comes from the ovulation. So if your doctor says we're going to test your hormones third day, say, yes, that's good. That's cute. I want it. Give it to me. But I'm also coming back 7 days before my period because that is also very important. So if my doctor prescribed me progesterone cream, should I take it 2 weeks before my period starts or the day after my period ends? Your doctor should actually be telling you how to use the progesterone cream, friend, as it relates to your specific situation. I can't tell you when to use it, especially because I don't have enough context for why it was prescribed in the first place. You understand? Um, but your doctor really should be explaining to you when is the optimal time to use it, though. You know, let's go on over to the U of Tube because we got a lot. There was a lot going on in Jancery. Do you think we should apply this if we're in our mid 30s? I think you should apply this if you have a cycle. If you are a cycling individual, this information is relevant to you. And if you don't apply it now, when you get older, you're going to wish that you did. I promise you that. You have an advantage right now, friend. You have time. And so that is, I need you to understand how important that is in terms of this whole picture. Yes, absolutely, you should. Um, okay, let's see. You have irregular cycles, when is the best time to get hormones tested? So if you, what do you mean by irregular? Do you mean sometime your cycle comes on, sometimes it doesn't? Do you mean that it comes at different times of the month? Do you mean, what do you mean by irregular? Explain to me, and then that way I could tell you. However, what I can say is it can get really tricky in terms of tracking your cycle, but you can always go from day one of your cycle. Okay. So whenever it comes, day one of that bleed is day one of your cycle. And that's how you want to count that. Third day testing, great. Really good for hormone health and, as I said, overall reproductive picture, ovulatory health. And if you get something back in that third day testing that looks like, ooh, ovulation might be a little, because your LH is low, or different things like that, it can signify already we got issues with ovulation. But I would say if the period's irregular, go for when you are on day one, start there and see if that can be helpful for you. I do need a little bit more context though. All right. Well, that would make sense as to why I may be having a lot of clotting. Really clotty periods are generally, I know I can't diagnose, but generally due to estrogen. And there is so much more that I have to say about estrogen and estrogen dominance, but let me answer some more questions. But I want to talk about estrogen clearance as well before I get up out of here, because I think y'all need to understand also that where estrogen dominance is a very important part of this story, another important part of this story is how effectively are you clearing estrogen. Yes, exactly. As the hormones regulate, clots get smaller, of course, because hormone imbalance is one of the reasons why you may be having a super clotty period. It's generally estrogen driving that. And as I've gotten older, ovulation actually hurts now. Girl, what is it called? Myrtle Schmitz? Myrtle? Hold on. I'm gonna tell you the truth right now because y'all know I be on one, but when I don't be on it, I don't. I have been experiencing that too, like those sharp pains. It'd be like, woo. Yeah, it's called Myrtle Schmitz, and that is ovulation pain. And when you see ovulation in action, when the follicle bursts, it makes sense why it actually would hurt. It looked very violent if you've never seen it. Um, Can anyone sum up a few best foods for ovulation to happen? I feel tears coming up out of sadness and exhaustion. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Um, Foods for ovulation. I don't know what you eat, but the best foods that you can eat to support ovulation are ones that are high in B vitamins. Also, eggs. Make sure the eggs are clean, pasture raised, organic when you can. We're not playing with the meat. If you're eating the meat, it's clean. It is responsibly sourced. Um, B vitamins, of course, healthy fats, avocado, coconut oil, olive oil, you know, things like that. Um, what else? Vitamin C. Vitamin C, really important. Um, all foods that are high in vitamin C, you need to be eating. Bananas are good for it. Shellfish that have zinc and magnesium are good for it. Salmon, not farm raised. Never in this life should you eat farm raised salmon. Okay. Wild caught, trout, sardines, mussels, oysters, clams. Those are also high in B vitamins as well. Okay. She said, I'm so mad I didn't get my notification. I'll definitely have to watch the replay again. Yes, please do, my friend. Please, please, please do. I'll leave it up, so don't worry. Um, Fasting felt good, but wrecked my hormones. Yeah. 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 It's, here's the thing. So your endocrine system, as I said, reads your environment. And adrenaline and norepinephrine and all of those things are hormones that are excreted by your endocrine system given the situation that you're in. When you're starving, there's a certain amount of clarity that happens because your body is pumping out more insulin and more hormones to stimulate you because it reads it as number one, a stressor. And also, it's saying, oh my God, we're on red alert. There's no food. There's no food. We got to keep her in a mind. You know what I mean? So it pumps out all of this stuff to keep you alive because your body doesn't know the difference between starvation and fasting. You know, but your body doesn't know. Just like with fight or flight, your body doesn't know the difference between a lion being in front of you and a stressful work week. Your body doesn't know, and it's going to react the same way. So your body does not have the discernment to know you're fasting. It reads it as starvation. So it puts you in a survival mode state to keep you alive. And that down regulates your reproductive health and hormone health. It actually makes it chaotic. The other thing that is good for me to mention, if you are vegan or vegetarian, a lot of the sources of food that are good for your ovulation and progesterone are meat based. I'm just saying. I want to, is it on my phone? There's an article by Elisa Vitti, who's a hormone health coach that I love, that might be relevant. But hold on, let me see if I can find it for you so I can link it. I was reading it not too long ago. Okay, there you go. Here, this is it is relevant, and it is quite informative, the article on B6 and some sources for you. I live for her. I love her, and she's very, very informative. Okay. Okay. Glam is so right, of which she posted about this month ago after I was diagnosed with sludge in my gallbladder, along with fibroids and anemia, not enough healthy fats, was fasting almost 12 hours. Girl, your system. I hope that you are doing much better. I really hope that you're doing much better. My God. She says, Glam's advice of fat, fiber, and protein is healing. My fibroids are also no caffeine on empty stomach. Yes, no caffeine on empty stomach. Never do that. I am going to talk a little bit about cortisol in that what was I going to tell y'all about? I was going to tell you about something else before I get out of here. Which healthy fats should you eat? Fats that come from, again, plant sources are fantastic. Olive oil, as I said, sesame oil is even a good one. Flax and flaxseed oil are great. What is that? Oh, Substack just died. Substack just left the chat, which makes me want to check on this, because baby, the way that died was tragic. It was critical. Let me plug this in. Hold on. We got a lot going on. Where's my other charger? Lord, this phone just was like, threw me off. Wow. I did not want that. Anywho. What else do we have here? Oh, plant-based healthy fats are great. I really do like coconut, full fat coconut milk in my oatmeals, in my smoothies. I use it as a replacement for milk, because milk is a no. Okay. Yes, I've talked about being vegan and how being vegan tore me up as well. Being vegan was not my friend by no means. And I'm not ever here to jump on my vegan girlies. I love y'all. But it was not giving. And not only because of meat, but because of the nutrients that come from meat, it's very hard to balance being in this type of malnutrition state, imbalanced hormones, and get all the things that you need only going by plants. It's a little difficult. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, and somebody said, what should be your eating window? How did you know that that was important? This is a beautiful segue into my next topic. Cortisol. I need to do a whole live dedicated to cortisol. I'm sorry, Substack. The phone did some weird thing. I am so sorry. But I gotta hurry up because I do believe that cortisol, it deserves its own live, but this is really, really important. You need to eat within 1 hour of waking up. Y'all don't want to hear it. Y'all be going back and forth with me, blah, 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 blah. But it's very, very important if you're serious about this, especially serious about supporting ovulation, supporting progesterone naturally, and supporting your reproductive health. Your endocrine system, because it all goes back to the endocrine system, is so deeply complex. And it's important for you to understand a few things. When you wake up, your cortisol is naturally high, right? And if you don't eat within that hour of waking up, your cortisol continues to rise. Not only that, but when cortisol is high, several things can happen. I'm about to blow your mind. I'm about to blow your mind again. Sorry. Complete the verification. TikTok is so confusing to me. Child, I might let it in because the verification is not coming through. Anyway, so a couple things can happen. But one thing that you need to understand is the precursors for cortisol are also the same precursors for progesterone. Okay. And there is something called progesterone steal. Okay. And this happens when your body has high cortisol due to fasting or being stressed or not eating, right? The body uses cortisol as a mechanism to manage stress, right? And so it has the tendency, when your cortisol is high, to read your environment or your situation as a high stress situation. So what it can do is cannibalize progesterone to turn it into cortisol. I'm gonna just let you sit with that for a moment. When your cortisol is high, you're giving your body a high cortisol environment, or if you are stressed, or if your body is reading your environment as a stressful environment, it can steal progesterone to convert it into cortisol. That is why eating in your diet is so very important when it comes to managing a healthy endocrine system, because the endocrine system is designed in such a way to keep you alive. That's its priority. And as I just mentioned, your body doesn't know the difference between starving and fasting. It doesn't know that you are not starving. It reacts the same way. And it's read as stress. So that's really important. Eating within 1 hour of waking breaks that cortisol rise and brings the body into homeostasis. It's crucial. It's crucial that we do this. It's also very important that the content of what we're eating is balanced for blood sugar. You need enough protein. You need enough fat. You need enough fiber. Oh, and this is what I was going to talk about. How come y'all ain't remind me? Estrogen clearance. So now that I'm on that, I just needed to remind myself, and I'm going to talk about estrogen clearance. But eating within an hour of waking, and then again about every 3 to 3.5 hours throughout the day. Do you have to eat a full meal every 3 hours? No. You just need to have something balanced, friend. It could be a snack. It could be a small meal, but it needs to have PFF for your blood sugar. All right? Moving into estrogen clearance real quick, and then I'm going to answer some questions, and then I'm going to get out of here. Okay? Estrogen clearance is really important. What reminded me of that is fiber. So when we're talking about estrogen dominance and a lot of these, no dairy, friend, no dairy, coconut yogurt, maybe, if it's clean. What is PFF? Protein, fat, fiber. Hold on. Okay. So estrogen dominance is a major thing here. Very important. You're so welcome. But that's not the only way that we end up in a high estrogenic environment. So maybe our endogenous estrogen is not high, and endogenous just meaning coming from inside your body, what's made by your body. So the estrogen being made by your body, maybe it's not high. However, if you are not clearing the estrogens and they're recirculating, we can have a problem here as well, which is one of the reasons why PFF exists. I'm telling you, when I tell you that PFF is the formula for life, please listen to me. If you eat this way, you won't have to think about so much. It just makes it easier when you understand that everything that you eat, every plate of food needs to have a protein component a healthy fat component and a fiber component. It's going to make your life so much easier. They say, well, Glam, are you eating low carb? Or you don't worry about that, because carbs are not the enemy. Of course, sugar itself can be problematic, which is why I wrote the Fibroid Nutrition Reset Guide for all of these things. If y'all are wondering about this methodology and you want to really read it and understand it, the link is pinned so that you can actually have your own guide and understand. But real quick, the really important part here when talking about carbohydrates is, if you have the fiber to back it up, you're not going to have the problems that eating empty carbohydrates may create. Now, I'm not saying just run amok and go just eat shenanigans. No, but PFF makes it easier for you to understand, because if you're seeking fiber, then you'll naturally be seeking carbs that have fiber. When you do, those will tend to be complex carbs, sweet potatoes, quinoa, all that kind of stuff. This is for your hormone health, your blood sugar, inflammation, all of this stuff. That PFF formula, I'm trying to tell you, life. Now, going back to estrogen clearance really quickly. A lot of us fibroid girlies are constipated. Just constipated. All the girlies are usually constipated, most of us. But if you're not eliminating often enough and properly, estrogen can be recirculating in your body, because one of the only ways for hormones, especially old or used hormones, to be excreted out of the body is through the bowels. It's also very important to understand that your gut health has a lot to do with this picture as well. A lot. So when we talk about PFF, the importance of fiber is there to safeguard you from reabsorbing said estrogen. Also, to support bowels that move. So fiber binds to excess estrogen in the gut and pulls it out through the bowels. There are also microbes in your gut called estrobolome, which their job is to manage the estrogen environment in the gut as well. But we don't want to rely on that always. We want to put fiber in the system, because fiber is going to not only help with blood sugar balance, but it's also going to help with estrogen clearance. And so the point that I was wanting to make about estrogen clearance and estrogen dominance, we may not truly be in an estrogen dominant state, but if we are recycling estrogen or not clearing estrogen, we can still be in this troublesome picture, right? We can still be in this troublesome state. And so it's very important that we understand fiber is super freaking important. It's very important to understand that estrogen clearance is super important. That's why certain things like DIM or calcium D-glucarate or even just cruciferous vegetables are so important to estrogen clearance and detoxification as it relates to estrogen. But that's a whole nother live. That's a whole nother conversation. So I'm really, really hoping that this information was vital and came right on time for some of the girlies who are trying to navigate this, because I've had so many calls as of late talking about people's doctors don't want to test their hormones. What do you mean? They still doing that? I know better. I'm just saying that. But it's so important that we understand. So important that we understand the importance of hormone health to what we're going through, especially as it relates to heavy bleeding, and how we have so much control. We have so much control over what we are experiencing. We just need the right support. We just need the right information. Now, I'm going to answer questions and I'm going to get up out of here. I'm just going to get up out of here, okay? All right. Sorry, Substack. I love y'all, but I was YouTube focused for a second. My new hyperfixation breakfast item is avocado Ezekiel toast with broccoli sprouts, 2 eggs over easy, topped with sauerkraut and balsamic vinegar drizzle. Oh, that's like a PFF dream, baby. What are you saying? I'm making that. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Baby, what? That sounds delicious. Broccoli sprouts are go hard. Broccoli sprouts are so concentrated in sulforaphane and DIM, which we need for estrogen clearance. They don't taste like bean sprouts. They kind of don't really taste like much, but they are powerful. Please get you some. This is great. This is amazing. And that balsamic vinegar drizzle, great for your stomach acid. Hilarious. The sauerkraut piece. This is like, I got chills a little bit because what? I'm finna go make that right now. The sauerkraut piece. Amazing for gut health. Amazing for gut health. Oh, come on. Yes. Amazing. That sounds look, now I'm hungry. And it's about to be about that time. Okay. She said that ebook is with me every time I go grocery shopping. Hilarious. If you haven't got yours, please grab it in the link below. And there's a code, save 15, to save 15%. It's still up. I was supposed to deactivate it, but you know, I be wanting my girls to get all the money off in this economy. What is your opinion about tiger nut milk versus regular milk? Wow, I've never had that. Has anybody tried that? Hold on. Because what? Wow. Can we get that in the States? I'm gonna find this. The only things that I have about plant-based milks that you have to be careful about is whether they have phytoestrogens and how those phytoestrogens act on your estrogen receptors, much like soy. Okay. Some things are stronger in terms of um, phytoestrogen stuff and activation. I don't want to say stuff because that doesn't sound very scientific at all. Activation. Um, but it says that it's rich in fiber, protein, and minerals. Ma'am, I mean, I'm gonna check it out. Let me see. Let me look. Let me see where I can find that. I got some Nigerian friends. Do they know about it? Maybe. Oh, it's Ghanaian. Excuse me. That was disrespectful. It's Ghanaian. I got some Ghanaian friends too. I'm in Houston. I bet you I'm gonna find it, and I'm gonna report back. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So I've been really wanting to start making my own nut milks as well. I was telling my Substack community it's about that time that I stopped my dependency. And mhm, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. There's another question. If you wake up at 5 a.m., what's sufficient to eat? I got you. Bone broth. Bone broth. Throw you a little spinach up in that thing, a little bok choy, a little kale, a little some form of fiber, little drizzle of olive oil, sea salt, pepper, red pepper flake. Throw it in a little thermos. Drink it on the road. Okay. Another thing you can do is prepare some chia seed pudding ahead of time. I would batch my chia seed pudding earlier in the week. You can do all the things in chia seed pudding. Whatever fruits you like. Um, Blueberries is safe for me because it's low glycemic. I like that. But you can put whatever kind of berry mix if you'd like. You can make a matcha version. Um, Matcha and raspberries is really yummy. Just be careful with eating matcha with your iron. They should be taken separately. Um, but bone broth, literally on those mornings when it's just like, this is real early, or I got a lot to do, there's a lot going on, bone broth. Don't do it by itself. We got to make it PFF a little bit, right? But it is already protein. It's already so nutrient dense, and it's so easy to warm up while you over your brushing your teeth. You got your little bone broth on low, throw your little greens in there last minute for about 2 seconds. Bow, they done. Easiest thing. Spearmint tea helps with cortisol if you don't eat early in the morning. That's fantastic, but it doesn't sustain your blood sugar though. I live for spearmint tea. Spearmint tea is also good if you have androgenic conditions like PCOS, um, where you have this is getting on my nerves, where you have high testosterone and high androgens and things. That's really great to know. It probably is just great for any time that your cortisol is a bit up there. No? Thank you. What numbers are considered normal in a hormone test? I'm not going to say that on this red app because they will shut this down. However, this is the type of information that I can give to you on Substack. You see the difference. YouTube, not gonna let me play that game. um, yeah, yeah. Spirulina. Spirulina is fantastic. I drink spirulina every morning as my pre-workout. If you want energy, vitality, endurance, like that boost of energy, spirulina is my new coffee. The other thing that I've noticed about spirulina is it has my hair growing so fast. Honestly, I just got the haircut last month and the thing is growing, honey. It's growing and flourishing. And I did not know that that was a side effect of drinking spirulina. But spirulina also is high in omegas because it is a algae. It actually is high in omegas as well as it has protein. It is really honestly a really amazing thing. And if you haven't tried it, please try it. Does it taste the best? No, but it is good. Yes. Spirulina is life. Life. I thought that I was not going to be able to live without matcha and things like that. But I don't battery life. Does spirulina stop hair loss? I wouldn't. It depends on what type of hair loss you are experiencing. If your hair loss is due to nutrient depletion or being anemic or something like that, then obviously you need to replete your nutrients. Um, Another thing, hormone health is very important to your hair loss as well. Um, if you have high androgens, that can be causing your hair loss as well. So it really depends on why you are experiencing the hair loss. You are so welcome for the link. I hope that it's very helpful. I'm not sure whether it is recommended for you to drink spirulina if you are trying to conceive. Spirulina is an algae. I'm not sure what your doctor would want. So, with that being said, you really have to check with your medical provider. It's super nutrient dense, though. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, y'all. I'm going to get up out of here and go on with my Saturday. I do want to remind you all that if you are looking for a one-on-one appointment, the calendar opens the first week of the month. Don't panic. Check the calendar the first week of the month. If you are interested in more information about diet, about when to eat, how to eat, what to eat, where, what, who, how, grab your Fibroid Nutrition Reset guide with a 15% off. The link is below. The link to my socials is below, especially for the ladies who are not following me on Substack. Please follow me on Substack because, as I said in the beginning of this live, a lot of you probably did not hear me, but this red app is suppressing my content to the point where I have to be very selective about what I do and say on this app. And so when it comes to Substack, I have freedom of speech. I have freedom of speech and they are not censoring me. So it allows me to be more thorough and open. And then also, it has different mediums and ways for me to interact with you all. So not only can I write articles, I can do videos, I can do audio notes, I can do lives. Um, and so everything is really being housed over there. And that's really important for me in this phase of my life because I'm not playing these types of games. I also have I'm starting to do workshops over there as well. And I think progesterone is bound to be a workshop coming up soon. Is it true if your testosterone is low, it could mean that it could be one of the reasons why you are anemic? I have never heard that. I don't know if it's true or not. It could be. Your body is so interconnected. Um, but I've never heard of that before, but I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not sure. I can't even confirm. That's interesting though, because that is interesting. I'm trying to think about like the mechanisms that have to do with that. But of course, everything is interconnected. So I would not be surprised. Can I drop a link in the picture here to pay for Substack? Check the I can't drop anything in the actual video. So you'll have to check the chat. And then you can also go to the what's it called? The description box underneath this video, and everything is linked. Everything from the labs, the place for lab testing, to the Substack, to everything I got is linked in that link. Okay. And thank you so much. Y'all like my haircut? Oh, y'all like my haircut? I thought it was cute and like fun and summery. Let's see how long it lasts. She said, I just subscribed. Thank you so much. Somebody else said chlorophyll is really good. The liquid drops have copper, which helps with iron absorption for anemia. Absolutely. And also, chlorophyll, the molecules are very close to hemoglobin. Um, Fun fact. And it does help to oxygenate the blood in the body, which hemoglobin does. So it's chlorophyll is amazing, especially for gentle detox and gut health, inflammation, uh, skin health, all the things. I love you guys. And she said, thank you so much for all you do. It is my pleasure. I love y'all so much. And I'm just, listen, I'm fighting against the machines. Have a good Saturday. This will be saved up here on YouTube. So if anybody just came in and y'all were missing anything, check it out. I did also save the chat replays, so it should generate within like a few hours or something like that. Have a great weekend. I love y'all. Thank you so much to TikTok and Substack. I love everybody, and I will see y'all soon. Holleration. Now, how do I get out of here? I love you too, Miss Emma. Bye. You're so welcome.